event thing that they had in Crown Heights. And they were basically like, yeah, you should find out all the minimums of everything, like for this later. Especially.
What does it mean if you eat romaine lettuce? How does it affect you?
Like, I just don't eat it.
It affects you very bad?
Yeah,
It's like dangerous for you?
like I can't digest it. Like, I mean, I'm sure I could a little bit.
A small amount?
Yeah. I mean, they said that people do better maybe with like horseradish,
So use
but
horseradish.
that it would just make things burn. Something.
But you could wait before Yom Tov. Horseradish is not a large amount. It's maybe about, I don't know,
Okay.
about 15, 16 grams perhaps.
Radish,
Maybe a little more, somewhere around there.
15 grams,
It's about 18, 19, somewhere there in that area.
18.
About 18, 19 grams. It's not a lot. 19 grams for sure is good. It's not a large amount. So I would say use that. Go with horseradish.
What about lettuce?
What about lettuce?
And is it different for like the sandwich versus for just maror?
Yeah. The
Okay.
sandwich can be even less. It's more lenient. It's even less than that for the sandwich.
Less for the horseradish and the lettuce, or like the same?
Horseradish and lettuce is the same thing. It's just some people use both, some people use one of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're saying the amount that you're using myrrh for the sandwich is less than for myrrh.
Okay.
Whatever you're using, it doesn't make a difference, but the total each
Okay.
one by itself, it makes no difference.
So for the sandwich, the amount of horseradish, what would you think?
Maybe it's about, I didn't look into it specifically this year. I would say maybe 15 grams. To start with, why don't you weigh even 19 grams? You'll see how much. It's not a lot. It's not a big amount, 19 grams.
Then
Yeah.
what about for lettuce?
Same thing.
19 grams of lettuce?
It's the same thing for whatever you use.
So you just
You need a
you're
total of
weighing it.
19 grams. Whether you use just romaine lettuce, just horseradish, both together, the total is 19 grams.
Okay.
Approximately.
Of weight, and that's why lettuce looks like more because it weighs less.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then okay, so same for the same 15 for the sandwich.
Mhm.
And then what about matzah? Like the minimum amount.
Matzah, okay, so minimum matzah. You have issue with matzah too?
Yeah.
Oh, so then you really want to, so maybe you should wait before, get a scale and wait before Yom Tov. You should do
Yeah.
exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Any matzah you're using gluten-free, like oat?
Like I'm fine with gluten. I had this whole incident, it was like horrible, where I like bled because like a lot of this happened to so many people. Or like so many people had like all these horrible reactions to matzah because it's just like so like, I don't know, coarse.
Okay, so so we're discussing now how much matzah do you have to have? There's a difference between the matzah that you're having for the mitzvah of matzah, which is not taita, matzah by itself, and then for the sandwich, the matzah more together. Then for the cream. So for the matzah you're having, which is minat taita, which is mandatory by the taita to have matzah, that matzah should be approximately maybe 23 grams, somewhere around there, between 20 and 23 grams. I haven't looked up the exact amount because usually people don't use, you can use a scale for the mitzvah. Practically, I have it like an amount of the matzah. Like I could say like,
Somebody
example.
said like at the event they said like a hand.
Let me talk more in general, which for most people, they're not going to be weighing it before Yom Tov, so it really comes down to how much of the matzah is. Okay, so let's say if you're using thick matzahs like the Crown Heights Matzah Bakery on Albany Avenue, the matzahs are very thick. You get about 6 matzahs to a pound. So because it's very thick matzahs, so over there you should be using approximately a third of a matzah, maybe even less, but a third of a matzah for sure is good because it's thick. That's all you need. And if you're using thin matzahs, it's approximately a half a matzah. But I'm saying approximately because there's different types of thin matzahs. Sometimes, you have thin matzahs 8 a pound, then you have 8 matzahs a pound. Then I've seen companies that have 11 matzahs a pound. They're really thin. If they're really thin, you might want to use more than a half a matzah. So again, a thick matzah is approximately a third, and maybe even less. And a thin matzah is approximately a half, and maybe more, depending how thin it is.
And that's for what?
So that's without going into weight. Okay, then you're in case you want to discuss weight,
Yeah.
right? So today I haven't looked up specifically this year, but from memory, it's approximately the matzah that's min ha'toida is, in other words, the first time eating matzah, which is min ha'toida, just matzah by itself. You say the bracha al achilas matzah. Over there, it should be approximately 23 grams, maybe a little less. It's somewhere in that area of 23 grams. And then it's about 20, actually 21, somewhere around there. And then the matzah that's midrabanan would be less, like 14, 15 grams. It's not a large amount of matzah. So get an accurate scale, weigh before, if you're mamash limited what you can eat. And if you weigh it and eat exactly what you need, I think you should be fine. Now that's for the matzah that's min ha'toida. Then for the matzah that's midrabanan, for example, in other words, the sandwich, the matzah with maror, and then later having afikomen, that's midrabanan. Over there we are lenient. Meaning, in other words, what I just told you, it's min ha'toida is about, let's say, 21 grams, about, and midrabanan it's about 14, 15 grams. Now, what is it in amount of the matzah? Practically, because most people aren't going to be weighing it, so how much of the matzah you need to take? So, whereas when it comes to matzah, when eating matzah by itself, which is min ha'toida, if you're having the thick matzah, you take about a third of a matzah. So, when you come to the sandwich, you're going to be taking, let's say, about a quarter of a matzah, and it might be even less. But I'm getting a quarter to be safe. But a quarter of a matzah, that's all you need. If you're having the thick matzahs here from the bakery here in Albany, the thick matzahs, with the sandwich, you just need a quarter of a matzah. That's it.
And that's for and you could split that because you're making it
Yeah, for sure. Right.
So it would be like an eighth on each side.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the amount of matzah. Yeah. And if you're using thin matzahs, then it's going to be about a third of a matzah. And then when it comes to the afikoman is the same amount like the sandwich. However, preferably you should have double that amount, because the afikoman is we have to eat 2 kazesim, 2 amounts, 2 shiurim. One is to commemorate the current Pesach, and one is to commemorate the matzah that was eaten with the current Pesach, because the current Pesach was eaten together with matzah and maror and bitter herbs. So, to commemorate the current Pesach, the best way to do it is to have a kazayis of matzah, which is to commemorate the current Pesach. You can't commemorate with a piece of meat, because then it looks like eating a sacrifice. So you eat a piece of matzah to commemorate the current Pesach. And the current Pesach was eaten at the end of the meal. So you're having a matzah at the end of the meal. And then you have one kazayis to commemorate the matzah that was eaten with the current Pesach. So you have 2 kazaisim. So preferably, whatever we're using for the sandwich, you should use double that amount for afikomen. If you can't, then you use the same amount that you use for the sandwich. Okay?
So that would be 30 grams.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. We spoke about the amount of wine already, how much wine you need to have, right?
Yeah, minimum is 3 ounces.
3 ounces.
And 4.1 is more
More, right.
That's
Okay.
what about diluting?
Diluting wine. diluting wine, you can only dilute wine if you know that they have not put any water in it yet. Many wines already have whatever water they could put in, they put in. They already stick in the water, to save money or whatever. It could taste better. But so if it has water, then you can't really put in water. It's probably you could put in some water, but you really have to find out exactly what kind of wine it is. But if the wine has no water, and I assume it's probably not, I assume it doesn't apply to very, very light wines, but generally wine, they did not put any water in it, then a lot of these wines, I know like Eminent Drive from the Pesach wine, you put a third water. So if it says no water added, then you could add water. Whether it's a quarter or a third, a fourth or third, but it's around that area. Otherwise, don't put any water. But sure, not in grape juice, you don't put any water because it could become shahaka. Okay?
Is there like a minimum alcohol requirement in the wine? Because I'm using like.
Preferably, we use wine over grape juice. Some you can use grape juice, preferably use wine, because wine is alcohol. Now, within wine, preferably you have the better quality wine, whatever is called better quality, to the original. They're very good wines these days, but people don't like to drink it quickly, they like to drink it slowly. So that means you can get those high quality wines. But it has to be a good, preferably it should be a higher quality and higher alcohol. Doesn't have to be very high alcohol, but it should have, like if you just use, let's say 4% alcohol, as opposed to 6 or 7. 6 or 7 is definitely better than that. How high do you have to go? I mean, anyways, people anyways are limiting themselves, because if they take too high alcohol, then they can't really perform the Seder properly. So yes, ideally it should have more than less, but practically you don't want to have too high, because you want to be able to do the Seder properly. Now, if people cannot handle wine, then you can mix the wine with grape juice. So it's definitely better to mix wine with grape juice than just having grape juice. In other words, the more the wine, the better. Yeah, clear with the. Okay, let's discuss. Did we discuss the foods that need to be prepared on Erev Pesach?
Yes.
We went through all this food. We went through the kaira, right? So we went through the kaira. Everything is okay. The halachos, what you cannot do on Erev Pesach, what you could and what you can't do on Erev Pesach. We did discuss haircuts in Erev Pesach. We discussed about doing hair. You can't do haircuts in Erev Pesach. Yeah, this year you could.
You can't declare that you're taking.
You can't say why you're taking that, right? So, you this year Erev Pesach is on Shabbos. So the Erev Shabbos, which feels like Erev Pesach, you're allowed to do everything. It's not really Erev Pesach. A regular Erev Pesach, you cannot take haircuts after midday, only through a non-Jew. You can have a non-Jew doing the haircuts. I remember 1 year that's so hectic before Pesach that I just didn't get to take a haircut. And with Erev Pesach, you took a haircut. Everything's already, Chatzos, already midday. What do I do? I have a Jew, so I went to the cabin. I got a haircut over there. So I had to go in and I had to explain them what to do and make sure they don't cut off my payas. And it was a very interesting experience. It took them 3 times. It took them 3 times the amount of time it takes a haircut here. My Jewish barber have to take 3 times the amount of time. I don't know why it took them so long to do it. Anyways, get off the top. But I'm saying I learned my lesson then, and I make sure to get a haircut before Chatzos. But this year, so on a regular year, the barber Erev Pesach has to close at midday. This day, give haircuts all day. I mean, the Erev. It's not Erev Pesach, it's Erev Shabbos. It feels like Erev Pesach, so we take haircuts all day. Anyways, it's not. So it's not a practical idea. So the same is also with any type of sewing clothing, alterations. In a regular year, after midday, you cannot do it if you're making money. If you're earning money, you can't charge. This year they could charge all day, but practically people are busy at it. You have so much things to do. It's not really the time, it's not really a thing that you want to leave for the last minute anyways. You want to do things in advance. Okay, let's go on.
Sorry, are the sewing alterations only if they're making money? So let's say like if the button needs to move back, it needs to go back or something? If the button is not
On a regular, not this year, a
Yeah.
regular and a Pesach after midday, you cannot do alterations, any sewing at all, if you're going to be charging money.
But if you're not taking it.
If you're not charging money, you could, and it doesn't matter, if you do it professionally, a professional job, it's okay if it's for the sake of Yom Tov, you can do it. Unlike this different story, unlike this, yeah. But you can ask, you're talking about the Jewish person. You can go to a guy to do it. It's all like the Jewish people doing this work and charging with haircuts. Like I said the story, I went to a non-Jewish barber. So you could have a non-Jew do work for you on a Pesach all day. It's Cholamayit is there, Cholamayit is strict. Cholamayit, you cannot ask a non-Jew to do work for you. Generally speaking. Exceptions, obviously. Okay.
What are the minimum amounts of harissa?
Charesis, we dipped the mud into the charesis and then you shake it off. There's no amount, not eating the charesis. On the contrary, you don't want too much charesis on the mud because it's going to take away the taste of the mud. You're just dipping it in and shaking it off and then eating it.
So I don't need I can just have the wine technically running.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so, 'cause I don't eat apples.
You can't eat, you're allergic to it?
No, it's my diet.
Yeah, but you're not eating it. You're just
So
dipping it in
yeah,
and
that's
shaking
what
it
I'm
off.
saying. I don't need to
Yeah.
even, okay. And then in the sandwich though,
Yeah.
also you're just, what are you doing? with
Right,
it?
so we discussed the two types of horizons, right? The dry horizons. We discussed it.
No.
Oh, because I said I'm going to discuss when I get to the Seder. Okay, so we'll discuss it now because it's like a separate issue. When we go through the Seder, we'll go just the general office now. What's the horizons?
Wine,
Wine, ground apples, and ground walnuts. That's the horizons. Now, what want to do is you want to make horizons without wine, just ground apples and ground walnuts, and mix it together without wine. You could make with wine and then make separately. Okay, so there's two ways how to do it. You can make it with wine and then make horizons without wine. You have two types of horizons. Or you can have just one type of horizons without wine. And then when it comes to modern horizons, then you add some wine into the horizons. But don't get all the horizons with wine. Also leave some horizons without wine, because for the sandwich, you want to have horizons without wine. Yeah, again, in other words, for the sandwich, because you put it together with the matzah, you don't want the matzah to get wet, so you want the horizons should not have any wine in it, because wine many times has water in it. Right?
so then you are physically putting in a certain amount of harissa in the sandwich.
No, it's the same thing. You're dipping it into horizons. Whatever you do for the martyr, you're doing for the sandwich too. You put dipping into horizons, shaking it off. Same thing. The difference is martyr eating by itself, and the sandwich, after you dip it in horizons, you shake it off, then you make a sandwich out of it. It's called a sandwich, so it sounds like the horizons is going, it's part of the sandwich.
Yeah.
No, you're dipping. You're taking the murder, whatever murder you're using, Roman lettuce, horseradish, whatever, doesn't matter, whatever it is. You dip that into the horizons, you shake it off, and they make a sandwich out of it. It's the same amount of horizons.
Okay. How do you dip horseradish? It's like a paste.
Correct. It's good. I mean, yeah. If it's ground horseradish, how do you dip it into horizons?
Yeah.
So you try your best. I mean, so call whatever you want. I mean, mush it together maybe and stick it in, or maybe throw some charesis on it, and then, by the way, the expression is used to throw, when it comes to the sandwich, it says to throw dry charesis on it and then shake it off. So, it's not really so dry because it's the apples are ground, but there's such this expression. It's called dry because it has no wine in it, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You're dipping this way, that way. You can put if you can't you can't put the ground horseradish into the charesis. Put some charesis on the horseradish. Yeah, whichever way, it doesn't matter. And then shake it off. Okay, I believe we discussed already the halachas for Shabbos, the meals of Shabbos, how to eat the challah. We went through that.
The door we're eating outside of him.
Eating outside.
Yay.
Okay. So let me clarify what that accomplishes. So you should still be aware. It doesn't solve every single issue. Meaning, so you don't want to eat it inside the dorm because dorm is pasting. So you're eating it outdoors. Now we're eating outdoors out on the street. No,
Probably on our property.
because you can't carry Shabbos. So it's still on your property. So the advantage is that you want it to be as far as away from the pasting stuff. The house is basically fine. You don't want, but it's still your property. So in terms of the issues of crumbs falling on the floor, and you don't want to have, in terms of having crumbs in possession, it's the same issue. It doesn't solve that problem. I assume they're aware of it. You just understand what issues you're solving. You're not solving. It's not like, oh, I'm eating in my backyard. Okay, so I don't care if crumbs fall. Wait a second. Backyard is your property. So if you don't want crumbs in your house, what's in your property, in your backyard, it's still your property. It's your possession, same thing.
I have a question.
Yes,
What happens if you put one of those tablecloths?
plastic tablecloths.
tablecloths.
And you eat on the plastic tablecloth.
And then let's say
And the wind comes and blows it out of your possession into the street. That's amazing.
Okay, let's say in theory, where I live at.
Yeah.
There's we have a garden with a fence, right?
Mhm.
And let's say the wind comes and we can blow it all over my garden. Do I have to then go looking through the grass on Shabbat before Pesach comes to try and get every single crumb?
Oh, that was your question. Okay.
I just see this happening and I'm just like, oh my goodness,
Yeah, I mean, it really, halachically,
it's not out of my possession, it's in my possession.
so if it's tiny little crumbs, if it's tiny little, really teensy little crumbs in a place where you step on it and then it becomes destroyed by itself, halachically, it's okay. But we're still careful to remove every drop of crumbs. If it's not in a place where people are stepping, it's pieces scattered, it's in your possession, so you really have to clean as best as possible. We should. I mean, whatever's, within human reach, whatever is not humanly possible, that's why we also do the bittul, the nullification, the kol chamira, the things that we cannot get to it. Like in Shulchan Aruch, it speaks about if you have a chametz stuck between the cracks. Those days they had holes in the floor, cracks in the walls, and you have to clean between the cracks. But your hand can't reach there. Your hand can't reach. So you have to do. You got to call a company and break open your house and no. So you do kol chamira. That's why you do. You nullify the chametz. So you do the best you could, and then you nullify the rest.
Where are you eating, on the killer? Can you give examples of how families do this meal?
Want to know how I plan to do it? I can tell you how I did it 4 years ago. How I'm going to do it now, I can't tell you, because I have to decide with my wife together.
But can you give examples?
But the way I did it, last time is that I think we discussed it. maybe?
Yeah, sorry, do the bags. and
Okay,
then eat out
so
the bag,
we're
and eat in the
quickly.
bathroom.
I take plastic bags,
I was thinking.
big plastic bags. I mean, massive, regular, nice size, just like this size. Like this size bag. Size bag. You put a booklet in here, little booklet, and you eat inside the bag. It's not so pleasant, but once in 4 years, and the next time is going to be 20 years. So you're going to get a 20-year break from having to eat like this.
Yeah, I'm not
Chaya.
about it.
Unless
Yeah.
that will be here.
So,
Okay.
yeah, Right. So you eat the challah inside the bag, and every drop, anything that you try not to make crumbs, any crumbs that's left, you go to the toilet and you turn it upside down carefully. That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did last time. So last time I took, I volunteered, I took the bags from all my children and said, I'll take care of it. I went to the bathroom, spent 5-10 minutes there, take each bag, turning it over, and getting every crumb out. Some people don't like this idea. They feel, what if you don't get every single crumb out? I looked, so you spend time. It's not a thing they do on a daily basis. It's tedious, it's ridiculous. But for the sake of a mitzvah, so you spend like anything else. You look, I checked everywhere, there was no crumbs. Now, I just give one idea. I gave a class the other day, and someone gave this other idea, which was a simple idea. And there it is. You take a napkin. So you take those, you know what the people use on Shabbos, like the nice napkins that you open up like this, yeah. And you eat on the napkin, and then you don't have to clean anything up. You flush it. Now, if you're going to be doing that, do one at a time. Okay, really, because people always have issues, you know, with this type of situation. You don't want problems with your toilet, and then how you gonna call a plumber on Shabbos, right? So you do one at a time, but so because it's a thicker napkin, okay. So that's another option. So and we eat it away from the table. And then we clean up, and then we continue the meal. That's what we did last time. We continue the meal in the same place. So the Suda Shabbos is a regular Suda Shabbos, challah with pasting of food, but eat the challah separately. Not everyone likes this idea. Some people don't want to have it like I hear you do, like you just said. You're doing it in the outside, right?
Yeah.
You're having just the challah outside, right?
Yeah.
Just challah because people.
I mean, I don't know. I remember being like, oh, are we not having, I think we're doing the whole meal outside.
Outside the whole meal.
Maybe like in our sukkah area.
Mm. But again, this whoever made the decision, this hopefully they understand that what's going on of it. You're not gaining anything in terms of having to worry about what's falling on the floor. You still got to worry about what's falling on the floor. But just if you're nervous that it's going to get too close to the pastic of stuff, fine. But it's exactly the same issue. Crumbs falling on the floor. It's the same issue. It's your property. What's the difference? Unless it's not your property. Hypothetically, it could be a private domain. You're not carrying outside, but it's someone else's property, your neighbor's property. Your neighbor Jewish? So
No, our back neighbors with the dog. Probably not.
but it doesn't help. It doesn't help anyways.
Let's keep the Lord our comments.
Yeah.
Jason, can't do that.
Why not?
No, basic. But Mrs. Cohen told us last
Yeah,
year that apparently
okay.
this idea that where if you pull the we
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, go ahead.
It's recording. No, sorry, I can't say it.
What did you say?
On Zoom. I'll say it after.
Okay, tell me. But you want to ask something, right?
No, I asked my question.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yes. What if can you just like rinse the bag down the drain of the sink? Oh, with all the crumbs in it? Like I would flush it.
Why down the drain? Why not down the toilet?
And then you get
To
rid
make
of
it
every single
easier.
crumb, it washes it away for you.
Like instead of looking for every single crumb, you could wash the bag out.
You could literally get the majority of the
I
crumbs.
feel like it would stick more.
In the sink.
Yeah, like.
Now, so your sink is Pesach.
Mm.
You don't want put chametz in here. That's not.
What about your bathroom?
You
sink,
can't.
though?
You're losing more than you're gaining.
What about
The
that?
bathroom sink, okay.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's
the
what I'm saying,
bathroom sink.
Yeah.
The bathroom sink, rinse out the bag in the bathroom sink.
Yeah.
yeah.
There is an advantage. The advantage is you're rinsing out the crumbs. The disadvantage is that the crumbs going down the drain is not the same when it goes through the sewer system. When it goes through the sewer system, that's where you want it to go. So, halachically was probably the crumbs are so tiny that if it goes even with the regular sink with the drain water, it's probably going to take care of it. But I know it's hard to weigh exactly. You know, I found I was able to get every crumb out, and we said there's another idea using pita bread, which is harder. Okay, so there's less crumbs. Okay, so let's move on. let's start with the Seder. I think it's clear, we discussed already Erev Pesach and Erev Shabbos and Erev Pesach. So let's talk about the Kiddush. So we said Kiddush is Abdallah, there's also Abdallah, Yak Nahaz, must do Abdallah. And it's interesting if someone forgets to do Abdallah, because if you forget to do Abdallah, you did Kiddush and you didn't do Abdallah. What do? Do Kiddush again? You can't eat before Abdallah. We have to eat onion and salt water. So you do Abdallah again, you make again? No. You can have onion and salt water, but you will say Abdallah on the second kais. When you come to the second kais, after Hakafen, before you drink it, you're gonna do the bracha Abdallah.
Oh, so you normally do the Havdalah on the first kais?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do everything together. Yeah. What kind of meat could you have in the nights of the storm?
Oh, it can't be like roasted.
It can't be roasted and it can't be baked without any liquid. If it's baked without liquid, I'm sorry, it has to be baked. It can't be baked with any liquid. It has to be baked without liquid.
Wait, I thought,
No, the
Opposite.
opposite.
Yeah.
Sorry. You have to make sure there's some liquid in it. I got it. You have to make sure there's liquid in it, okay?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, even though there's no liquid, it's not called roasted, but people can get confused with roasting. Okay, so therefore you have to make sure there is some liquid inside some sauce, something in the chicken or the meat, whatever you're doing. And the neck of the chicken, you're not supposed to have the nights of the storm. Even the second night, when you don't need the neck anymore, because after the Seder is over, you don't need the neck anymore, but we don't eat the necks of the chicken until the day. During the day, you can eat it. What are the things that you cannot eat on Erev Pesach? Erev Pesach you cannot eat. What can't you eat on Erev Pesach? What's our custom we don't eat Erev Pesach? Let's talk about this.
wait, what?
What are the things according to Chabad that you don't eat on Erev Pesach? Which this year is Shabbos, so the Erev Shabbos you couldn't.
We don't eat matzah, we also don't eat like the.
Don't
stuff
eat
on
mar-
Seder.
We don't eat whatever is used for the mitzvah, the nights of the Seder, we don't eat. Min Chabad. So we don't eat murder, we don't eat Roman lettuce, horseradish, we don't eat anything that goes into the haraisis, that is wine, walnuts, apples, we don't have on Erev Pesach. And this continues on for the following day too, the first of Yom Tov, because we're going to be having it on the second night of Pesach. So this continues until the second night of Pesach after the sandwich. So after we had the sandwich already, we did all the mitzvahs the second night. So now we're finished with all the mitzvahs. Now you can have Roman lettuce, you can have horseradish, you can have charosis. But the zroya, the neck of the chicken, that you cannot have because it resembles the current Pesach. So you can't have it the night of the started until the following day. Now the zroya, neck of the chicken, what do you do with it after you're done with it? You're not allowed to throw it out. It's baltash because it's wasty. And besides it's used for a mitzvah, it's not proper to throw it out. Proper thing is to eat it. A lot of people don't like it, and especially also it gets you very dirty because you roast it, it's black, and you start taking with your fingers, it gets very dirty. I think I mentioned when you do the zroya, you should use plastic gloves, right? You take off the disgusting. The custom.
We take out most of them, right?
Most of the meat of the zroya is removed. How do you want to take it off? Put on plastic gloves when you do it because it's going to get your fingers extremely dirty. I mean, not dirty, it's smooth, but it's black. The proper thing is to, if you could use it, if not, even if you don't plan to eat it, you're not allowed to throw it out. Then you put it away somewhere, maybe someone will eat it. If it's spoiled, after it spoils, then you can throw it out. Even though you don't plan to eat it, but it's still not proper to throw it out. Use for a mitzvah. Once it spoils, now you can throw it out. Kiddush. Halacha regards to Kiddush. So when you start saying Kiddush, what do you have to do at the beginning of Kiddush? Are you supposed to look at something when you start doing Kiddush?
The candles, yeah.
Correct. So just like we discussed this,
No,
how do you know this?
that's not Shabbos.
Yeah, very good. So just like Shabbos, you just look at the candles, the one who's saying Kiddush. I don't know if everyone listening has to say, look, but the one who's saying Kiddush, just look at the candles when they start Kiddush. The Rebbe says that nights of Yom Tov is the same. You also have to look at the candles when you start saying Kiddush. There's just the beginning, just for a moment. You have to remember not to say Shechiyanu, because you already said Shechiyanu in candlelighting. So immediately after Kiddush, you will sit down and drink the wine. Don't wait for the men to finish. Be polite, because they're saying Shechiyanu. As soon as you finish, you sit down, you drink the wine, and then you'll still be able to say Amen on their Shechiyanu. In other words, if you finish drinking before they finish Shechiyanu, you'll be able to say Amen on their Shechiyanu. Do you have any questions? Okay, we'll stop here. The next week we'll continue with the Seder. We also still have on our list that I have things that we're going to talk about. There's a request to discuss the stringencies of Pesach. So we're going to get to that too.
Are you coming? Did you have that?
Yeah, so next week it's going to be every single day. That's the plan. Yeah. Okay. Good job, everyone. Shut this. You wanna try?
Oh, like. Oh.